Welcome to yet another episode of The Speaking Citizen. I am Mehru Jafar, your host. In this program, The Citizen brings to you creative members of society like writers, poets, film personalities, dancers, painters, and thinkers. This recording with Amish is in collaboration with the Jaipur Literature Festival that opens in the new year on January 19 and continues till January 23rd. Today, let me introduce to you celebrated author Amish Tripathi. The world has read the Shiva trilogy by him, and his Immortals of Meluha, a first novel, saw record sales. Without further wait, let's find out from Amish himself, not just the author, but also the citizen, the importance of mythology and religion in his life. Amish, there is the belief that myths are a clue, it seems, to the spiritual potentialities in life, leading human beings to some higher state of being. How true is that? My first question to you is, what is the importance of mythology in your life?
Ms. Jafar, the root of the word mythology is a Greek word called mythos. The dictionary meaning of this may be a little derisory, that just fanciful stories which had some elements of truth sometimes. But that is regrettably how modern Europeans saw their pagan ancestors. But if you go to the root of the word mythos itself, if you ask Greeks, their understanding is different from what the dictionary meaning is. Mythos is a story that hides the philosophical truth. So the story itself is not as important as the philosophies that you hear, that you understand from it. And stories that come from the Indian tradition as well, which in Sanskrit would be called Kavya or Itihasa or Purana, where, for example, we know that Vedvyas ji composed the Mahabharata, but Vedvyas is actually only a title. His original name was Krishna Dwaipaya. He was the Vedvyas of our age. Every age has a Vedvyas. So what does the title Vedvyas means? Is the compiler of the Vedas for that age. So that's how Krishna Dwaipayan got the title Vedvyas. So Vedvyas ji compiled the Vedas also, and he composed the Mahabharata as well. And among the stories that come down from tradition, the reason he wrote philosophies of the Vedas in an understandable manner, because the Vedas have all have philosophies that are very deep and meaningful, but it's very difficult for most people to understand. Whereas the Mahabharata is a deeply engaging story which pulls you in, and while understanding or listening to that story, you understand the philosophies of the Vedas. This actually is the Indian tradition, what it is for me as well. That these stories, and of course, one sees them as the stories of our gods and goddesses. One sees them with wonder and devotion. But the true purpose is to learn the philosophies from those stories and then apply them in your life.
So this so much about mythology. Yes, it makes a lot of sense to look in between the lines of a mythology. But then there is religion. You said you've been quoted as saying that you were brought up in a middle class, very religious family. So what is your relationship to religion today? What is the relationship of Amish Tripathi, the adult, to religion today? Religion similar to the relationship your parents enjoyed with religion and to the idea of God?
again, one of the things in the Indian way is that all of us have to find our own relationship, our own truth. There's this lovely line from the Rig Veda, Ekam Sat Vipra Bahuda Vadanti, that the truth is one, but the wise speak it as many. So I will have my truth, you will have your truth. I have no right to impose my truth on you. You have no right to impose your truth on me. But there must be mutual respect. No one should say that my truth is the truth and your truth is false, or your gods are false. That's incorrect. So, is my relationship with religion and the God I worship exactly similar to my parents? No, because my parents always had this approach that all of us have to find our own path. So I lost my father last year, but his approach to the divine was, he followed the Nirgun Nirakar concept of the dharmic gods, which is the formless God. My mother is a goddess worshipper, so she has her approach. My elder sister is, also worships Lord Shiva. She lost her husband a few years back. Her husband used to worship Lord Ganesh. My elder brother worships Lord Ram. His wife, my bhabhi, is a goddess worshipper. My twin brother, worships Lord Krishna. His wife is a Christian, and I worship Lord Shiva. So within the same family, we have different approaches, and we celebrate each other's approaches, and that to me is the Indian way.
Exactly. So this is the beauty of Hinduism. The Hinduism is such a sublime way of life. Does it bother you at all to see Hinduism being twisted and turned it into a single one-dimensional truth? Do you think this is happening to Hinduism, or is it just my imagination?
Ms. Jafar, one of the things I have come to see is there is, a public square in India where many of what you might call opinion makers on both sides speak. And regrettably, we have imported many of the Western, Middle Eastern approaches in there, where it's more adversarial and gladiatorial. I have a lot more faith of the real Indians. Let me, and part of that, I mean, is of course my lived experience, having lived in India, traveled through. But let me, everyone will say, what do you mean your experience? It means nothing. Okay, let me quote data. There was this
But
Pew
are we
survey.
not all Indians? Who is a real Indian?
I'm talking about the masses. I have much more faith in the masses than the elite of India. I'm being honest. Much more faith in the masses, and elite on all sides. There was this Pew survey that had come out recently on religious attitudes in India. 90% of Hindus very comfortable going to worship places of other religions and praying out there. If my numbers aren't wrong, 92-93% of Muslims believe in the concept of karma and dharma. Intriguingly, more than the proportion of Hindus who believe in karma dharma, which is around 90%, 92-93% of Muslims believe in karma dharma. Jains, Buddhists, Sikhs, across, the mutual respect that is a part of how Indian masses actually think. It showed in the Pew survey, and that to me is reinforcement of why I have so much faith in the Indian masses, not so much in the Indian elite, to be honest. And they will keep this country sane. Let me quote another statistic. Our police forces are among the most undermanned in the world. We have a very tiny police force, relative to our population size. And our criminal justice system, our courts, we all know they're paralyzed. I don't think I'm in contempt of court by saying that. Every criminal in India knows he will probably die before the case is decided beyond all appeals. We all know that. 40-50 साल तो कहीं नहीं गए किसी court case में. Basically, the criminal justice system in India does not work. right, as compared to the West. Despite that, violent crime rate in India, even in our most violent cities, Delhi, Bangalore, Mumbai, is one tenth of Western cities like New York and Boston, where the police forces are far more efficient, right? In the UK, I'm living in central London in Mayfair. I have seen a stabbing here in central London, okay, in a mugging here. I lived 45 years in India. I never saw any mugging, right? You know, think about it. Violence is low in India not because the system is efficient. It's because most of the people are actually not that violent, right? I'm saying on a per capita basis, we're 1.4 billion people, right? I have a lot more faith in the Indian masses than the Indian elite.
But, the opinion makers, the lawmakers, the community leaders, they're all members of the elite, so it is, and this elite is trying to play the Pied Piper for the masses. So it is a difficult kind of a situation, but that is what the situation is. But what potential do you see in mythological characters like Shiva, for example, who you are a devoted, in inspiring young Indians today who are mostly unemployed and struggling perhaps to educate themselves?
Uh, you know, the way the Indian approach to the divine was, to see a role model and try to learn from that, right? So, to me, what does Lord Shiva convey? But to me, Lord Shiva is, in a way, a god of the rebels. Those who are naturally kind of anti-elitist, we tend to get attracted to Lord Shiva because he himself was anti-elitist in many ways. And in many ways, he had so many contradictions. He was a Vairagi, he was a mendicant, wanted to be away from society, but he was also a very good husband, a very good father. Uh, he didn't differentiate between high-born and low-born, between men and women. His Ardhanareshwar form, for example, half man, half woman, he would bless the devas and the asuras. You know, he would even bless those who didn't worship him. Right? He was, in that sense, there's this term Shivji ki Barat. Anyone can join. And to me, and I'm not just saying that because I'm a Shaivite or I'm a Lord Shiva worshipper. But I think there's a reason why so many youth get attracted to Lord Shiva, because he's across all religions. Because I think he represents many values that would be good for the modern day. So that is the interpretation that I draw, that worshipping Lord Shiva can make you a better human being, because you had the elite Maharajas also worshipping Lord Shiva, and you had the common people also worshipping Lord Shiva. And Lord Shiva's heart was, as they say in Banaras, jiska koi nahi uska Shivji hai, uske Shivji hai. So his heart was always, so if you're someone who has done well in life, then you should learn from Lord Shiva and do as much as you can for the poor. If you're a man or a woman, see Lord Shiva and Goddess Parvati's relationship and be good to each other. There's so many things one can learn from Lord Shiva. I mean this from the bottom of my heart. No disrespect to any other. No disrespect to any other god or goddess or any other religion, but I genuinely believe there's so much one can learn.
How do you look upon Shiva's anger towards Ganesh?
Many of the stories are actually metaphorical. And that's what I meant when I used the word mythos. You're supposed to learn something from it. In ancient India, uh, all animals had represented uh, certain ways of life, certain values. Uh, Horses represented something, cows represented something, elephants represented wisdom, right? The Sanskrit word for elephant was Hasti. So Hastinapur literally meant the city of wisdom, right? Um, now, the metaphorical lesson that one draws from the story of Goddess Parvati and Lord Shiva and Lord Ganesh is that you can attain wisdom only when you give up attachment. That is the central root of yoga as well. And what is the purest? There are attachments which are impure. We all know that attachment to alcohol, attachment to these things. But there are attachments that are pure as well, right? And there's no attachment more pure than the attachment between a mother and a child. It is the purest attachment. And but the metaphor is that even that attachment you must move on from if you want to attain wisdom, right? Uh, Lord Ganesh, as we know, was obsessed with his mother, Goddess Parvati. And who is the god who helps him move on from that attachment? The Lord of Detachment himself, Lord Shiva. And getting the elephant head essentially means getting wisdom, becoming wise. And then you notice post that the relationship between Lord Ganesh and Lord Shiva, the deepest engagement and wise thoughts would flow from there. So that's a metaphor.
What do we learn from whatever we know, whatever mythology, whatever is told to us about Ram?
Like I said, again, all all our gods had to be seen as archetypes to learn from. And in fact, I had written an article on Lord Ram and Goddess Sita. I think it was in 2013 or something in the Hindustan Times. So, what is Lord Ram known for today? For Ram Rajya, right? And since then, for thousands of years, if you go across the country, you ask people what is the best way to run a country, regardless of religion, gender, region, practically everyone will say Ram Rajya, right? The rule of Ram. And what does that mean? What can we learn from Ram Rajya and Lord Ram? One is that no one is above the laws and maryada, including God himself, including Lord Ram, which is very different from many other religions where God is supposed to be above the laws. God gives the laws, right? Whereas here the thing is even God is subject to the laws. Even Lord Ram is subject to the laws. That a ruler has to be focused completely only on the well-being of his people, right? And there's a question that arises from this, that is there at times a conflict between a ruler's love for his family and a ruler's duty towards his people? And this is a philosophical discussion that happens in ancient India. One is the Lord Ram model, where it's Maryada Purushottam. Essentially, Maryada Purushottam means the ideal follower of laws, right? Where the concept is such a leader is very good for the society that they lead. But perhaps there are challenges in the family life. And if you go through our tradition and history, you find many who follow this model, not just Lord Ram. Look at Gautam Buddha, look at Mahatma Gandhi. Very good for the people they led. We all know the family lives of all of them. There were challenges on all three. There is another model, which is the Dhritarashtra model, which is complete love for the family and maybe not that much focus on the kingdom, which is called Putra Moh, right? And in the ancient Indian way, there was no judgment. You look and understand, learn lessons, apply that in your own life, right? So Lord Ram, Gautam Buddha, Mahatma Gandhi, very good for the societies they led. Lots of challenges in the family life. Leaders like Dhritarashtra, for example, very good for their families, challenges for the kingdoms they led, right? These are the two models. If and you look at them and then see and apply what you want in your life.
Can you think of one head of state or head of a kingdom who was very well adjusted in his family life, as well as superb statesman?
Lord Krishna for some time, which is why Lord Krishna is called Purna Purushottam. But we all know at the end, even Lord Krishna's family, what happened. And it's one of the debates that's always been there in the Indian way. That is it that a leader cannot have both? I don't know what the answer is, but you notice that many Indians have what I call the Lord Ram obsession. In the leaders that we look for, and I'm saying, look at our last 70 years, look at the most powerful leaders we've had, male or female. You notice most of them are single. Almost no family. You notice that, right? Even at the state level, right? Male or female, think about it, right? But you notice in the West, many voters, they will vote for leaders who, where there is a full family, perhaps even a dog, right? They want to see that. Like one of the things I hear, I'm living in London now, I hear from voters in the West that I want to vote for someone who I can talk to, who I can have beer with. And I'm like, why would you want that? I don't want to have beer with my leader. I want my leader to work for my country. But I'm an Indian. I'm looking at my, approach. I'm talking about what the Westerners think. What is the right model? I don't know, right? But Indians have this model in the mind. It's a very deep, because it's there for thousands of years.
Like leader.
It's Raj Rishi. There is actually a Sanskrit term for it, Raj Rishi. A sage king, which was there in the ancient pagan West as well. Plato spoke of, men of silver, essentially kind of like priest kings, who essentially, because the interpretation they used to draw is, if they have no personal family, if they have no personal life, nothing, they will only work for the country because they do nothing else, right? I don't know what the correct model is. I'm just telling you what it appears to me is a deep obsession among Indians. Again, I'm saying male and female across. You notice even at the state level, among the most powerful women leaders we've ever had, usually single or widows, or usually it's an obsession we Indians. It's a model set in our mind.
Perhaps. So that brings us to my last question to you, Amish. What would you say to your fans is a creative way to include religion in life and to look at mythology in a non-aggressive and creative way, unlike the way we are using religion today, which engages a lot of violence and a lot of hatred?
Ms. Jafar, the way I see it, there's this lovely line from our traditions which truly appeals to me. Sanskrit line, Ati Sarvatra Varjayit, that extremism of any kind should be avoided. And that to me, I mean, it's very difficult to distill wisdom that comes from India, because we are more way of life of a library, not just one book. There's this, and no, perhaps only Adi Shankaracharya, in the last 2000 years would have read all the texts. It's impossible to have read all the texts. No one can do it. But if you have to distill it, then this is one of the things that really appeals to me, that extremism of all kinds should be avoided. What does that mean? It means that, for example, I must work hard to earn money, because this thing that there's nobility in poverty is silly. That was, socialist attitudes that we learned in the first 4-5 decades of India, which is, it's completely, nonsensical in an atmosphere where we worship wealth. We worship goddess Lakshmi, but obsession with wealth is not good, right? So earn money, work hard, earn money. But if you become obsessed with it to where you do adharmic things to earn money, that is not good, right? You must.
I don't think socialism says what you just said, glorifies poverty. Socialism says distribute the wealth as equally as possible amongst all. I mean, that is just intervention.
Yeah, true. But socialism, because it has an unparalleled record of economic destruction wherever it has been tried, it normally is not distribution of wealth, it's distribution of poverty. There isn't one case study where a country has become rich through socialism. Many people forget Venice 3-4 decades ago. Look at it today. People keep talking of China as an example of socialism. China is not socialism, it's state capitalism. And whatever the faults of China, one can't deny they have lifted hundreds of millions of people out of poverty. So capitalism does generate wealth, but hard capitalism destroys your society, right? So how do you use capitalism to generate wealth, but keep that balance? Again, ati sarvatra varjayit, right? And I think this should apply on all. If you can follow this mantra, extremism of all kinds should be avoided. It helps you keep a sense of balance. I will love my religion. I see no reason to, hate other religions for it. But at the same time, if someone is hating my religion, yeah, I will defend myself, right? Which is again, ati sarvatra varjayit. So India has always had India has the most ancient pacifist tradition in the world, Jainism, right? Our history books tell us, Lord Mahavir founded Jainism. But Jainism was actually founded by Rishabdev, who was much, much earlier. It's a very ancient pacifist tradition. But when you say ati sarvatra varjayit, it means that we will not send armies to attack other countries. But if someone attacks us, we will defend ourselves. We will not turn the other cheek, right? As, in our northern border, when a country attacked, well, our soldiers fought as they should, right? Which is their dharma. So essentially in everything, one should have a sense of balance. If you do that, and that to me, I think the Indian masses follow that in any case. There is a sense of balance in it may not, the Indian masses may not communicate that in an elegant, English way, which will appeal, to the elite and to the Westerners. Frankly, we need to give up trying to impress Westerners or anyone else. Have a sense of balance. That's it. Don't swing on any extreme.
So just 2 bits from me. I mean, there have been very great Indian warriors who extended their empire right up to Iran and so on and so forth. It is not socialism or capitalism which is a problem, but the philosophies. So that is just my little bit to this conversation. But thank you so much.
Jafar, we must meet in JLF and debate more. I think I can learn a lot from you.
Inshallah.
But yeah.
That would be lovely. Thank you so much for being with us. And thank you, Jaipur Literature Festival, for organizing this very interesting meet with Amish Tripathi, and look forward to chatting with you in the future.